First of all, accept it and embrace it. Technology is our friend and it can be a conduit for learning. But also, the word of caution is even though we are embracing technology, we're doing so cautiously, making sure that we're putting up the guardrails where we can to ensure that it is a positive experience for our kids and is helping us elevate teaching and learning.
You're listening to the SmartSocial.com podcast. I'm your host, Josh Oakes. This is our District Talk segment where we interview district leaders to learn how they're keeping students safe on social media so those students can someday shine online. Now, let's get back to the interview.
Hello, my name is Laura Carrasco, and I have the privilege of serving International Leadership of Texas as Deputy Superintendent of Academics and Student Services. We serve 22,500 students in Texas, primarily in the Dallas-Fort Worth and Houston areas, but we also serve students in College Station and Cleveland, Texas.
Hi there, my name is Erik Burmeister. I'm the recently retired superintendent at Menlo Park City School District in the heart of Silicon Valley. We are a preschool through 8th grade school district with about 3,000 students. Known for our innovation and our use of technology in the classroom.
Hi, I'm Dr. Adam Thorns. I'm superintendent of Chicago Ridge School District 127 and a half. We are in the southwest suburbs of Chicago. We have about 1,500 students, and we have 3 schools that they attend.
How have you been successful in increasing parent engagement to help keep students safe on social media?
That parent and student collaboration, parent-teacher collaboration, charter parent collaboration is critical. We have been hosting a series of webinars in which we actually just held one last night. It's doing our part to educate our parents on the pros and the cons of some of our platforms and our tech tools. But it's also, as far as our parents go, is educating them on some of the tools that they have available as parents to monitor social media or to monitor the different apps. We have a message going out this week to our families. Just to give you an example, one of the apps that we use is an app for it's our language portfolios. Our kids are learning English, Spanish, and Mandarin Chinese. All 22,500 kiddos are. And we have a language portfolio that is in a digital format. So we're communicating to our families how to log in and so that they can access this language portfolio and check on the progress of their kids towards mastery of those 3 languages.
For us, it's been an ongoing effort, and what's wonderful about the market today is different from 10, 12 years ago when we really started with our 1-on-1 program. Is there are a lot of technology solutions out there that folks can turn to. Certainly the product that you all offer has been helpful. We've had a lot of really great response to the resources that we've provided to parents. What's great about the product that you offer that maybe is unique is that it's customized to some degree, and it's also you come and get the resources that you find are helpful to you. And maybe you've already raised 3 kids, so you only have one question about I don't really understand this particular new technology. Or maybe this is your very first child, your very first foray into social media. The fact that you all as a technology and community resource solution are able to stay up to date on what's happening in technology, it allows us as school administrators to be far less attuned to all of the little idiosyncrasies of technology evolution. And that's been a really big help. And then parents can sort of enter in to the resources that you all are providing at the level that they're at. We talk in schools about students' zone of proximal development. Well, the same is true for parents. Every parent has a different zone of proximal development in regards to their understanding and comfort level with social media, and relying on outside resources such as yours to help us navigate and keep up and keep fresh, while at the same time keeping our focus on what is most important, which is teaching and learning for our students, has been really helpful. And so I was really excited 12 years ago to be an agent of change and sort of be on the cutting edge. But I can tell you, I am so grateful to have friends and partners out there helping us do this, because it's too much for schools to be doing on their own.
One of the things that we have tried to do to keep our students safe and to bring the parents into that conversation is just to offer different parent classes. One of the things that we have found this year from this website, from SmartSocial, is really making sure that our parents are aware of what's out there. Oftentimes they know the Facebook, which is what all the teachers are on, and they know some of the other things, but they don't always know what the kids are actually going on. We also have a student resource officer who tries to really keep in connection with that, in terms of letting us know kind of some of the things that they are going on that maybe they shouldn't be, and trying to steer them towards things that we really want them to be focusing on.
Are there any stories that might come to mind about any social media incidents you may have been able to get in front of or avoid by being proactive? Or are there any other ways that you see being proactive, providing knowledge about social media safety issues, this elusive thing we're trying to get away from, which is student danger online? Are there any stories that have come to mind where you say, with a little bit of hard work up front, we were able to avoid this because we heard about it?
At least weekly, we do have a scenario in whether it's a threat or in which our kids verbalize to us their awareness of a possible threat. I'd say one way we've been able to get ahead of possible threats is by empowering our kids. See something, say something. We did have a scenario at one of our campuses in which one of our kids, a fifth grader, very young student, did notify their teacher, and then we were able to raise it to the counselor and the administration that one of the students' peers was in danger, and they were aware of it just by their engagement in social media. They alerted people that could help, and we were able to get the student the support that they needed before it got out of hand. And it could have potentially been a very, very serious. And in this case, this student may have saved her peer's life by speaking up. So it's making sure kids understand that they are in control of what they communicate up and are advocates for their peers.
I would say, as a superintendent, the areas that sort of come to me, the issues that come to me, are more sort of adult social media issues, like somebody providing false information on a town square, or in a newspaper response or what have you. Very seldom does something related to children being on social media rise to the level and attention of the superintendent, except when it's really bad. And so I think that that what I know to be true about our community is that students feel a sense of agency and ownership over the social cultural environment in their schools and in their community. We are a relatively small community, our city, our town, one middle school, 3 elementary schools, 2 preschools. They all are in the same district. And we all feed into one high school. It happens to be in a different district, but we all feed into that one high school. And what we find is that students feel a great deal of ownership and responsibility over the positivity and health of that conversation. And so most of the situations that I have encountered, and I did used to be the principal of the middle school in our community, in our district, what I have found is that while there might be negative things that come up on social media, and they do, that very quickly we are alerted to those things, and we have the support of our community to try to coach and support our students in restoring harm. And so whether it's students bullying somebody on social media, or what we find very often is students who are recording other students unbeknownst to those students and posting things. It oftentimes starts, with what they perceive to be good fun, but it never really is felt that way or received that way. We find that very quickly we're able to address those things and squash them. In our particular district, we have not had an incident, a social media incident that has risen to a level of involvement of the police or significant drama that has sort of made its way to the headlines of the newspaper or everything. And so in that way, I think we've been very fortunate, but I also believe we've been very intentional about creating a culture around which, if something like that were to happen at the very early levels, we are able to address it and nip it in the bud. I would say there was one incident several years ago where a student ran away from home and posted information on their social media. And it was actually social media that allowed us the opportunity to find that student and get her the help that she needed.
We had a couple of years ago, we were able to have a student, we felt, a seventh grade student who was extremely proactive. Another classmate had posted some things online that were threatening towards the school. And because we talk to our kids all the time about if you see something, say something, they went immediately to their parents and let them know about what this was. This was on a Sunday night at about 7 p.m. And we were immediately able to contact that family and work with them along with their student, as well as getting a message out to the entire community, letting them know we were aware of what was going on. And that really helped us the next day, because typically on a Monday, if there's a threat out there, we'd see a lot of student absences, a lot of parents calling the school very worried. But because we were able to find out about it because of the student and to control that narrative, that really helped us build confidence with the parents and the community.
What would your advice be to educators and administrators like you to work together to create a culture of digital safety and responsibility in their schools and in their district and in their community?
First of all, accept it and embrace it. Technology is our friend, and it can be a conduit for learning. But also the word of caution is, even though we are embracing technology, we're doing so cautiously, making sure that we're putting up the guardrails where we can to ensure that it is a positive experience for our kids and is helping us elevate teaching and learning.
I would say communication is key, and regular communication. I think that having safety teams or digital wellness teams or technology teams, some group of advisors that is regularly meeting is super helpful. I think the closer to the student experience that you can do it, the better. And so having those be site-based rather than district-wide, I think can be super helpful. As much as you can without sort of overdoing it. We all have really, really important jobs, but there are a lot, finding information is easy, and staying up to date is a lot easier and less time consuming than it has ever been. And so I think finding ways, whether it's through partnering with organizations like yours, subscribing to specific blogs or whatever, just to be aware of where technology is going, because it constantly is changing. You don't have to be an expert, but you have to desire to want to know more when there's information that would benefit you. Continuing to remain strong partners with your parents in your community is absolutely essential, and recognizing that every family has a different relationship to technology and social media, and that there really shouldn't be a judgment where families land on the continuum of complete freedom and complete Luddite, shut down, don't do anything, right? Every family has a reason for why they feel the way that they feel, but that doesn't mean what we do share in common, regardless of where we are on that continuum, is a need and a desire for education. And so I think it's really important that we as educators don't judge, and that we don't impose our own feelings of where parents should be or should not be on that continuum, but that we continually try to educate, provide options and opportunities for parents. I think that is extraordinarily important. And then seek out partners whose job it is to sort of keep tabs of what's changing and what's happening, because we as schools don't have the time or the expertise to do that. And there are folks like you who spend time making sure that those resources are available and that knowledge is available to schools. So we don't have to do that work.
For people looking to build safety, especially online in the community, again, being proactive, I think, is the number one thing. And not thinking you have all the answers as the adults in the room. I think it's important, especially as kids get into fourth grade and up, to really have that conversation with them about what they're doing on social media and what they are looking for. Oftentimes they are just exploring, just like they would whether it's online or not. They're curious. They just want to know. So if we try to hide that information from them, they're just going to go and find it on their own. Whereas if we can be proactive in it, hopefully we can teach them the right way to go about it.
What are your 1 to 2 biggest social media concerns for the future?
Number one is definitely the influx of some fake news, just being very cautious that and making sure we educate our students on the threats that not everything out there is accurate. And so just the word of caution there. I'd say second is probably the unknown. I think sometimes we don't know what we don't know. And so just being very vigilant in using technology and social media as a conduit for learning and for communication and engagement, while also just keeping a close eye on and where we need to either better educate and put up some additional guardrails.
My first is, something that everybody's talking about, but is also something that I'm excited about and also terrified. And sometimes when we're, both excited and terrified is a really great place to be, because that oftentimes is where we can be the most creative. And that is in the area of AI. And I'm not so much concerned about AI in schools. I do believe that there are a lot of organizations that we can depend on, that we can look to for information, and we can look to for guidance. Organizations that have been around for a long time and that are very well respected, like Common Sense Media, Digital Promise Global, and some of these other organizations that just provide a wealth of research-based information that can inform how education technology evolves with AI. And then others that are new, that are creating in this space as we talk, like Teach AI, which is an organization that's bringing together a bunch of organizations in this space to sort of say, we need to have some guardrails for using AI in the education space. I do worry, however, that social media at the end of the day is simply interested in making money. And in the same ways that the technology is currently designed to create addiction, to create low self-esteem so that you'll keep coming back, to create an addiction to likes and approval and so forth. In the same ways that social media companies unabashedly are using the darkest parts of ourselves to promote their tools, I think AI is only going to help them further that effort. And so I think that we as educators, we as parents, we as community leaders must not trust the social media industry to integrate AI well or ethically or with any boundaries that we as parents or schools would expect. Now, that doesn't mean that I believe we should all become Luddites around AI. It just means that we need to rely on folks like you and folks like Common Sense Media and folks like Teach AI and other organizations that will come into this space and say, this is what we need to be leery of, so that we can be educated. And once we're educated, we can then focus on advocacy. We can focus on creating barriers as families and as communities. And we can focus on education. And that is going to be absolutely essential as far as AI is concerned. I already know my own 13-year-old is only allowed one social media network. We have the password. We do all the things that you should do with it for those folks who want to give that access. And already these companies are developing, my AI tools for the kids, and they are hugely addictive. And it's really important that we as parents and as educators are sitting alongside our kids, both figuratively and literally, as they are diving into this new world, because it's a new world, not just for them, but for us, and honestly, for the developers that are creating these products. The second thing that I would say that that I'm nervous about is anything as it relates to accuracy. I think, because of AI, but also because of misinformation and fake news and all the ways in which everyone is being manipulated by political and market forces. I would say I'm worried about our students and, quite frankly, adults' ability to be able to identify what's real and what's not real. And I think those two, they're both very closely connected, but I think those two issues, AI and authenticity and accuracy, are the two big worries that I have. And to be honest, they're the worries right now that everybody has related to any technology, no matter where you interact with that technology, or no matter how old you are.
When we think about concerns for social media for the future, one of them is just the amount of time that is spent. Study after study shows kids are spending more and more time on there, and their mental health is really suffering if they're on there too often. And then it is just, as we've been dealing with for many years, but it continues to just be the cyberbullying, and really getting students to understand that they need to let someone know when that is happening to them. There are so many positives with social media that there are some negatives, and you want the positives to outweigh it. And it's important to get in front of that.
Funding is difficult. What advice would you give to other districts to secure funding to create resources the parents need?
Dollars are finite. So we have to be good stewards of our state and federal funds. Um, Fortunately, a lot of the apps and resources are available for free. And so I think it's for us is being very picky about the ones that we do spend money on, doing a thorough evaluation of the competitors and the value added to kids and to our classrooms and to teachers, while also reviewing those that are available for free at no cost, as certainly a lot of social media platforms are, and several apps are that we can use to communicate and to engage our different stakeholders.
I think you don't have to spend a lot of your money creating those resources yourself anymore, which is what we used to have to do. Now those resources are available. And I would say the first point of contact should be free public resources. And there are a lot of them, and Common Sense Media is a perfect example. Now, not everything in Common Sense Media is available for free, but there is a great deal that is available for free. And so I encourage folks, school districts, to first look at what is already available that can be helpful and that is kept up to date. That's super important, because there are also resources out there that are both free and paid, that are outdated by the time they're put out there. And so it's really important that whatever free resources that you're promoting are up to date. And then the second is that, similar to the ways that we talk about curriculum solutions, is, research is pretty clear. As long as you have a research-based solution, it doesn't necessarily matter which one you pick. It's that you pick one and you implement it with fidelity. And so my encouragement to people is to do your due diligence and go out there and try to find the least expensive research-based resource that is available to you. Invest in that one thing, and then make it available to everybody, and try to the degree that you can to implement it with some fidelity to its design, such that parents have something that they can rely on, that your teachers have something that they can rely on, and that you're not just responding to a crisis, or you're not just responding to a tragedy that's occurred related to social media, or that you're not just responding to a political issue that has made headlines in your community, but you're actually being proactive, such that when something happens, and unfortunately in many, many cases, something is going to happen on some level, you have a network and a resource that you can go to, where you understand their language and their tools, and they understand you and your needs. So start with the freemium products. They are out there. And then pick at least one fee for service program that you can trust, and that's at a price point that you can afford, and use it and see how it can benefit you moving forward.
So funding for anything becomes very difficult in public education. We are a low income district, so we are constantly looking for ways to make sure we are supporting our families and students. And I have found one of the best ways to do that is just to talk to other school districts. We're a pretty small school district. So building your network to share ideas, not only how to handle different social media things that come up, but also financing. There are often grants that you can look for, and it's just getting out there and making sure you know where to look.
Thanks for listening to our SmartSocial.com podcast. I'm your host, Josh Oakes. This was our District Talk segment where we interview school district leaders to learn how they're keeping students safe on social media so those students can someday launch into their future by shining online. This episode was brought to you by our SmartSocial.com VIP program. It's called the Very Informed Parent Program, which helps you engage your students with teen-led video lessons. Stay one step ahead with our premium parent newsletter and discover hidden features on trending apps on teens' phones and our 54 plus live parent and student-friendly events every single year. You can click on the link below to chat with one of our team members if you want a free pass to our VIP program to support your community with our SmartSocial.com resources. And if you're a district leader who has a success story, we would love to feature you on a future episode. You can click the links below to reach out. Thanks so much for listening, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Have a great day.